LA.
Noir.
Noir.
Beautiful. We're all here. We're all gathered here today on this fine. Wait, that sounds like a eulogy. Let's fix that. We're all here for the LA Neo Noir Novel Film and Script Online Film Festival. Let me hear you make some noise, people. Woo! All right. My name is Kerry Westbrook, your gracious host and the director of the LA Neo Noir Film Festival, but I'm not the only one that's going to be talking here today. Today, we're going to have a group of the greatest, most well-known neo-noir individual independent artists that have ever graced just a bunch of great people, basically. So let's start one by one. I'd like for you to state your name, state your position in your project, whether you're the screenwriter, the director, the producer, the yada, yada, yada. I'd also like you to state a very brief summary of what your project is about, as well as, that's it. So let's start with Lucinda Luvas.
Okay. I am the auteur of the film, basically, but I'm half the screenwriter, and Bill Luvas is the other half.
Okay. And what's the name of the project, Lucinda?
It's called
The Second Honeymoon.
The Second Honeymoon. Sorry.
What's it about, Lucinda? Give us a brief summary of it.
Okay, I'd rather you.
Okay, well, let me do this so I don't go off. I'm just going to read a short piece here. Hoping to reinvigorate their marriage, Frank and Liz go on a camping trip to Joshua Tree National Park, where they encounter a menacing stranger. He appears to know Liz and is hostile to Frank, and from his speech and clothes, he seems like a character out of the past. Liz is puzzled by his assumptions of familiarity and feels threatened by him as he keeps appearing out of nowhere. Ultimately, he drags them back into a past where horrible things have happened and changes their lives forever. In this fast-paced horror tale, the past and present intermingle, and we can't be sure what is real and what is not. Frank believes they have entered some kind of a desert vortex, which they try to escape but cannot.
That is deep. That's so deep, Lucinda. I don't even have any words to respond to that. I'm just going to let the neo-noir kick in and everybody feel that right now. That's certainly neo-noir. Let's go over here to John Lepis and let him speak for us a little bit about his project. Talk to us, John.
Yeah, hi, my name is John Lepis, and I am a screenplay writer, and my project was called Bankrupt, which is about Jimmy and his three pals who are in debt to a mob boss after gambling all the money away that they owed to him. So in their pursuit to pay their boss back, they have to rob a bank, and it becomes a fascinating car chase that goes terribly wrong. They're arguing, they're bickering, they're just shooting up a bunch of cop cars. The cops are even over the top. It's basically just kind of a dumb car chase. And at the end, Larry and his pals get into a car crash. All three of his pals get killed, and Larry is arrested by the police.
Excellent, John. Very succinct, very brief. People, we can end it tonight. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. It's been fun. I'm just joking. The next person we're going to go to, if that wasn't enough for you, is the great Chris Nikoff, please. Tell us about your project, Chris.
Hey, nice to have me. I'm the director of the movie that I call Breaking News with double A. I don't know if it should be double R, and then news. Okay. We have Z on the end. And I'm going to try to be briefly. The movie is about the two news anchors, Laura and Anna, breaking different times of news before Christmas. Then we have a Bigfoot showing up and wishes Merry Christmas in a special way. And then we have two more characters, Peter, Chris.
Hey, hold on one second, Chris. Somebody's hollering for Frank. Is Frank there? Okay, continue, Chris, please.
We have two more characters, Peter and Chris. Peter wants to be a comedian. Chris wants to run for president. And I think that will be enough. You need to watch the movie to find out the story.
Hey, that makes sense. I don't like to watch movies that I don't need to watch. And you telling me I need to watch it, that makes pretty good sense to me, Chris. Let's move on to the next guy, because I don't think we've already given him too much, but let's just give him just a little bit neo-noir with Alexandra Muradi, please. Hit it.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm calling. My name is Alexandre Morani, but you could call me Alex. It's more easy. And I'm from Brazil. My project is Linda, the original version, and Pretty in English. And it's about, I am the director, camera, photographer, art director, executive director. I'm only just not the protagonist of the movie. It's about mixed on that I mixed in neo noir with stories about feminist violence, feminicide that increase in the middle of the pandemic. And I try to tell the story, changing the femme fatale for other things, and using the neo noir for tell the story.
Thank you very much, my friend. We're going to move on. I feel that's enough neo-noir, but it's never enough neo-noir, is it? Exactly. I'll answer myself. I'm a Gemini, ladies and gentlemen. We're moving on now to the great, legendary, what's this guy? Joe Cunningham, ladies and gentlemen. Let's hear from Joe. Talk to us, Joe.
Thank you, sir. My name is Joe Cunningham. I'm the producer, co-writer, and I also star in the lead role in the movie Under the Mercy. The movie is about a drug addict who is in debt to his dealer, and he has to choose between killing a man to get out of debt or getting torn apart by him. So it's a simple film. We were inspired by Taxi Driver and other noirs, but that's succinctly what it is.
Thank you very much. That was so succinct. I was waiting for the rest of it, but it was all within itself. I appreciate that, Joe. We're going to move on now to the legendary, everyone knows him, ladies and gentlemen, the great Casper, not the ghost, but the other one. Speak to us, Casper. Just turn your mic on. He's working on his mic. Let's move on to somebody whose mic is going on. Casper, can you hear me? Turn on your mic if you can hear me. In the meantime, let me hear from Jack Savage, the great Jack Savage. Oh, hey, here he is. He's actually Go ahead, speak, whichever one of you wish.
I'm sorry about that, Kerry. I'm not the best with these things.
No worries.
My name is Casper Faulkner Lewis. I'm the actor, writer, director, producer for a monologue short film where I talk direct to camera. It's called We Prefer the Old Ways. Basically, the backstory is a college couple. They've gone out driving into the middle of nowhere and they camped on land that was private land, and they've ended up getting kidnapped by some very nasty characters, the Butcher family, who have their own kind of sadistic and weird backward way of living. And they live in a very isolated place where they don't see anyone else. And the monologue takes place with Jason Butcher, who's the most violent and aggressive, having the male tied up in front of the fireplace. And he talks to him and he's just getting a few things off his chest and telling him, about how he feels about the world and how he feels about the way normal humans behave as a kind of precursor to before he murders him and kills him. And he's a very matter-of-fact guy. He's not an over-the-top kind of bad guy, because I felt like making him like just the normal guy that fills up your car at the gas station. That would make it more scary than him being over the top. And I deliberately made him poetic, and have a bit of good about him, because all humans are a combination of good and bad.
Touche, touche indeed, my friend. Let me also say I'm the biggest fan of Marilyn Manson. We're going to move on to Jack Savage as well, the great legendary Jack. Speak to us about your project, Jack.
I'm Jack Savage. I'm the screenwriter of Woolwine. And, it's kind of a classic story. It's about a private investigator who is hired one day by an ex-lover after her husband has committed suicide. And she doesn't think that he died by his own hand. And that just kind of launches it out from there. That's gets a lot more complicated, gets, tangentially involved, or connects back to his child's death from a few years before, partners up with his old police partner. And I think it's a great story. It's a lot of fun.
I see. I take it we got to watch this to see what it's about. Is that right, Jack Savage?
Yes, of course.
Touche, touche indeed. We're moving on now to the deep, deep neo-noir that we've all been waiting for. Not Lucinda wasn't enough. We got enough right there. But we're going to move on now to the great Jeremiah Grandin, ladies and gentlemen. Let's hear it for Jeremiah. Speak, Jeremiah.
Hey, everybody. Hi. Hey. My name is Jeremiah Grandin. I am the writer of an animated TV pilot titled Bloody Bill. Essentially, the log line is this: a struggling lawyer finds a brand new vocation, ultra-violent crime fighter vigilante. That's it.
Wow. That sounds like a vigilante to me, ladies and gentlemen. We're moving on now to the great, incomparable James Leon Boiler, ladies and gentlemen. Speak to us, James.
Hello, my name is James Leon. My submission is I'm the screenwriter for my first adaptation of a novel by Todd Ashley called Banging the Monkey. And it's the story of a burnt out writer who's alcoholic, working a lot of temp jobs in post 9/11 New York City. He goes to a friend's party and he meets Frank, a global businessman, gives him an opportunity to have a dream job in the tropics of Southeast Asia. And so he takes the job, but he doesn't realize that it's a front for something more sinister. And then next thing Mark knows, the main character, he's suspected of murder or accidental death. So, and and he loses his passport. So it's a complete cultural shift for him. And yeah, it's a neo-noir setting in Southeast Asia, and it's a great story.
Well, I'll tell you, if I had $1 for every time I was suspected of murder, well, I put $3 at least. Now I'd like to speak to the lady we've been waiting for, the great legendary Michelle Wright. She's never wrong. Let's hear from you, Michelle. I just need to turn you.
Okay. I am so glad to be here. My name is Michelle Wright. I am the writer, director of 54 Years Late. And it's dark in a different type of way. It's dark from the perspective that the story tells the journey of Terry Wright, a 54-year-old African-American male who was not diagnosed with cystic fibrosis until the age of 54. So you have to watch the film to see his dark journey to trying to get a diagnosis based on the fact that this is a disease that a lot of people didn't even realize impacted African Americans.
Very powerful, Michelle. Thank you very much. Are you familiar with Lena Horne, Michelle?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, I just thought about her for some reason. Next, we want to talk to the great.
I could add a huge compliment. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. I'd like to speak now with Carl Niemick so I can compliment him as well. How are you, Carl? Let me hear you. Carl's working on his audio. We want to go while Carl's getting it together to.
How's that?
That's perfect, Carl. Hear you loud.
Great.
Let's hear it.
Okay, well, actually, you have me down for 2 projects. One is called a screenplay called Going Bad, which is basically a young surgeon gets sucked into a group of thieves who convince him to help him rip off a patient that came to him and confessed to having $5 million in his house from being a hitman throughout the years. And so they go to rip him off, and all hell breaks loose, and he ends up getting his whole life destroyed, being shot up and stuff. And then 5 years later, the two men who were protecting the hitman come back looking for the money. And it all done back in flashbacks, and they go back and find out who was all involved. And it just, comes to the point where everybody dies but the doctor, who ends up with some of the money. And that's pretty much it. It's being sucked into a group crowd, to a bad crowd through a woman, the noir type of, women who do these things in these stories. Now, my other one is called Law of Average, which is actually a movie. Half of the footage was shot back in 1993, and it wasn't ever properly edited. And so I was able to recoup that footage. And when I contacted my buddy who played my partner in it to see if he wanted to add to it to finish it up and make it long enough to be able to do something with, he told me it was dying. So I made a promise that I would find a way to do something with this piece and fix it and add some footage to it. And at the time I was teaching, I had a student come in, and the idea hit me, well, I'll have him play my partner's son, who comes to me 30 years later to tell me how Joe Average screwed up. And the woman he actually saved was the woman who killed his wife and ended up with $1 million.
What the? Okay, go ahead. I got it.
Joe, that's it right there. That's pretty much it right there.
Wow.
So so it's half of it's done in 1993 and half of it's done when Joe Average was in his 60s. So I actually, not to tell anybody, I actually play with myself in the movie.
Hey, man, we're not going to touch that. Well, that's a good point. Thank you so much, Carl. I appreciate it. We're going to move on from the law of those averages to the legendary. Let's see, who haven't we spoke with yet? Let's try, I talked with that guy. Talk with Lucinda. Kurt Choate, who's this guy? Let's hear from Mr. Kurt.
Hi there. You actually caught me in the car. I have been driving all day, and this is the only time I could take a break and get online and talk to you all. I really appreciate it. I am the screenwriter for a screenplay called Inheritance. I have written several screenplays in my lifetime, but this is one of the ones that I tried to do in a very noir way. And in fact, the first line of the screenplay says that it was conceived in a film noir way and to be shot in black and white. So the story really revolves around an FBI agent's very traditional, tropey, tracking down the serial killer, where you find the serial killer, there's something about the main character that the serial killer is eventually getting closer and closer and closer to. But one of the things that makes my screenplay, I think, a little bit different, and has really confused a lot of people when they read it, is that I play with the visuals in the screenplay. So when you read the screenplay, I am telling another story through the visual elements that you're seeing behind the characters, in the sky, with the sun, with the moon, with various components. And if you keep track with those as well, you actually reveal that there is another presence in the story that you've heard about, that it has been around, but you're not quite sure. If you can follow with that, you realize that there is another presence that is assisting the main characters in their journey. That's a very spiritual presence. So the noir is more of a kind of the light and the dark. There is color that bleeds into the film that is kind of indicated, and there are reasons why that happens. And so if you kind of follow with the context, follow with the story, follow with the visuals, it becomes a very interesting noir type of visual experience. So it's very difficult, though, because I have submitted it to other readers, to other places who are more traditional. And I've written stories where it's just, very linear character development, et cetera, et cetera. This is one I really wanted to try to expand and play with the visuals. because I know I have reached my level of incompetence. I am not a director. I am not a production designer. I am not a special effects artist. I am a writer. I tell stories, and this is the way I wanted to tell this story. So I really appreciate that you all got it.
Thank you so much, Kurt. Thank you. I just want to say, everyone give Kurt a hand. That was marvelous. I just want to say some wise words that were inspired by what Kurt just said to me just now. Something to the effect of, when the moon is in the 7th house and Jupiter aligns with Mars, this is the dawning of Kurt's, whatever the name of his project was. What was the name of it, Kurt?
Inheritance.
Thank you very much, Kurt. Before we go any further,
thank you.
Thank our sponsors, our Death Hole Sweeties playing cards. If you got to play with the Death Hole people, make sure it's a sweetie. Our next project is going to be the great, legendary, incomparable. Who we got next? I spoke with that guy. I'm so excited, I can't think of the name right now. Hold on a second. Ralph E. Gamba is his name, ladies and gentlemen. Let's hear from Ralph.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ralph E. Gamba, and I am the writer, director, and lead actor of my project called View. View is essentially about facing your fears and dealing with your problems head on. It tells the story of a lone office worker who struggles with day-to-day life, who one day starts seeing visions of a specter, and that forces him to change his view. And the film is shot mostly in POV, first-person perspective, giving you sort of the embodiment of the character. And it ultimately comes down to whether this character stays in the shadows and doesn't act, or if he chooses to save a life and act.
Thank you very much, Ralph. Profound, profound indeed. We're moving on to the legendary, the one and only, Matranzani. Let's hear from Matranzani. I haven't heard that name before. I'm familiar with Maserati, but not the Matranzani. Are you there, Matranzani? Okay. He's working on his
Oh, there
mic.
it is. Matranzani. This video and audio. Yeah.
Yeah, let's move on from him. I hope nothing neo-noirish is happening to him. Let's move on to the next person here. The great, I think I've heard from everybody. Is there anyone I haven't heard from here?
Matranzani.
I think Matranzani is the only person left. Are you there, Matranzani? Let's try it again. I don't want to interrupt the murder that's taking place over there. Let me move on.
Ralph in Dallas, Texas.
There we go. Let's hear from you, sir. Tell us about your project and give me that name once more.
It's Ralph in Dallas, Texas.
All right, Ralph, tell us about your project.
For Motherless Children is a documentary, but it's real time in real drama. Simple situation. A mother of 4 finds herself stranded in El Salvador, unable to get home to the United States, where her 4 children, all US citizens, are fending for themselves. The 4 kids come see me on a Saturday, and that starts my involvement. After 2-3 months, I conclude that the US government's not going to help. So I get on an airplane, fly down to El Salvador the day before New Year's Eve, and I duel with American Airlines in the daytime and Border Patrol in the United States in the nighttime. And at the end of the day, the lady comes home. The movie really points out the drama and the horror of extreme family separation. But the secondary message is the work that a person like myself, a protagonist, activist, can do when totally committed to change the course of, at least for those people, their life forever.
Profound, ladies and gentlemen, the changing of life forever. I used to say that as I worked at a cemetery years ago. We're going to speak now to the great, legendary, we have so many living legends here, it's hard to keep track of them all. We're going to move on to, has everyone spoken? If you haven't spoken, say I haven't spoken as of yet.
I haven't spoken, but I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you fine, and you just spoken just now. but let's hear you nonetheless, Julian. Tell us about yourself and your project.
Hello, everybody. My name is Julian. My project is called Love is a Function of Death. And it's about Dave Baker, who drowns his midlife crisis in a nightly cocktail. Not happy with the outcome of his life, he actually blames his wife. Jessica Baker, on the other hand, tries to cheer him up by offering to play Scrabble. The evening gets interesting when Dave discovers that the words on the board are coming alive. So he has the brilliant idea to kill his wife. I'm the screenwriter and the director of that short film, which is inspired by the great Orson Welles and his film Touch of Evil.
Thank you very much, Julian. Julian, your face changed quite dramatically when you answered, or perhaps that was a totally different person. There was another guy with glasses on here that said, "Can we hear us?" Was he? Can you speak up?
That is correct.
Let's hear from that guy. Thank you, Julian. This is the other Julian, I hope. Who's that guy?
Isn't working. This mic's
right. Has everyone spoken yet? Is there anyone that we've left out?
I haven't.
You're the one. Yes, you are the one. Whoever you are, man, talk.
Can you?
Yes. Okay.
Okay. I'm Matt Round. I wrote, directed, and was the cinematographer for Red Widow, which is a short film where a woman in a red dress is walking home or walking alone at night, and she's leaving a carnival, and a man starts to follow her and does so until the sun comes up. And it all culminates at an observation deck where she presumably is about to commit suicide and jump, and he's approaching from behind. He stops her and will very shortly come to regret that decision. That's all.
Just let them go, man. That's what I say. The thing that you have to think about, people, is whenever you're going to a carnival, just watch yourself. You know, it's not the safest place. It's a carnival. That's the name of it. So we're going to move on to, I think I've spoken with everyone. Everybody had their say. I'm going to ask a trivia question now. Is there anyone that I left out? Okay. They answered no. I'll take it as a no. We're going to move on to my trivia question. Who out there is a fan of neo-noir? If you're a fan of LA neo-noir, I can't see you raising your hand. Just say, I'm a fan.
I'm a
fan.
fan.
Okay. All right. I heard the first one of you guys. Let me just find one. I saw Casper raise his hand. Do you feel you're a pretty good fan of LA neo-noir, Casper?
Yes, a big fan of LA neo-noir.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Casper, I'm going to give you an opportunity to win two 20,000 cents for a Starbucks. It's a new restaurant that's just opened up. They sell coffee there. I'm going to give you a gift certificate to that. If you can, within 15 seconds, give me 5 LA neo-noir films. The clock starts now.
Lost Highway, Basic Instinct, Nightcrawler, Twin Peaks Firewalk with Me, The Last Seduction. I can't think of any more.
I you struggle. That's enough. You've done enough, my friend. They're on the way. I just got to look back at this tape and see who the heck you were, and you're going to get those Starbucks. Right. We're going
Thank
to.
you.
You're welcome. Woo! Everybody give this young man a fine hand for that great work. Are there any more neo-noir? Are there any, any film noir fans out there? If you're a film noir fan, state, I am a film noir fan.